Hey folks, this is Johnny. Welcome to another home studio trainer show. And today we are going to start a series for 2024 called Mixing Tips 101. Now, this is actually something that I'm going to be doing for the beginners. So this is going to be a lot of stripped down and starting mixing tips, something like taking a bunch of tracks and not even doing any panning, just mixing the volume levels and starting that way, then progressing over to panning and then progressing over to effects. So some of the videos are going to be like that. Most of this is for beginners, but maybe you might see something here that you aren't doing that you might want to try if you're a seasoned veteran. Not a lot of seasoned veterans here doing this type of mixing, but we'll see. We'll see if you guys get something out of it. So, like I said, we're going to be doing Mixing Tips 101, and the first in this series is going to be inserts versus sends. So before we get started, if you guys could, I'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to my channel. Become a member if you want to support me financially, or you can become a Patreon member, and there you get a whole bunch of benefits. You get some free support, phone calls, one-on-one Zooms, and stuff like that, and some videos that I can't post on YouTube because of all of the restrictions on YouTube. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the classroom. So here we are in a song that I've actually done with videos before. Let's see if I can get this going. Here we go. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at the advantages or disadvantages of inserts versus sends. So let's say I want to put a reverb on a drum track. So here's our drums. Let's go ahead and solo this. There we go. So if I wanted to put a reverb on drums, there's a couple of ways I can do it. I can do it on the inserts or I can do it on a send. What are the advantages? All right, so let's go ahead. Let's work with the inserts first. So let's go to our effects folder and let's stick with the Personas stuff. And we're just going to make it really simple. And we're going to go with the mix verb here. See if I can get my alphabetizing here. I could actually also just click on this plus sign and type MIX, and there is the mix verb right there. So you can either go ahead and do it either way. All right, so here is the mix verb. So let's see, how do we know that we're actually working? There you go. So you have full control over any plugin that you put on the inserts. So if I wanted reverb on the bass as well, I can do the same thing. Go here and do mix. Select the mix verb. I don't know why you would put a reverb on a bass. I usually don't. But there you go. And I can go ahead and I can go put a reverb on each of the inserts for all of my tracks and be able to adjust them independently. All right, so the downside of using inserts for all of your reverbs, there's two of them. The first one is CPU usage. So the more inserts that you actually put, sorry, I had to turn off my heater. It was getting warm in here. All right, so the more insert effects that you put in your song, the more CPU that you're going to use. The other thing is, if you start piling on different reverbs for different tracks, you end up with a really muddy mix. And a lot of people don't realize that when you actually start stacking reverbs and you have different delay times, different attack times, and things like that, you really, in some cases, you end up with a lot of mush. So this is where using the sends and effects channels comes in. And a lot of people don't actually link the sends with the effects channels, but I'm going to show you, for those of you that don't know, there is a very cool benefit to using the sends. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to right click and we're going to remove. We're going to right click and we're going to remove. There we go. All right, so I can go here and let's see. Let me find the mix verb. There it is right here. I'm not going to really choose a preset. I'm just going to use the default one. So now if I take this mix verb and I drop this on the send for the drums, There we go. The first thing that you're going to notice is, hey, where the heck is my mix knob? Now, this doesn't happen with all effects, and sometimes these sends are disabled if you use the Dolby Atmos option in Studio One. That's a whole nother subject, so be aware of that. If you're using the Dolby Atmos and you're doing the monitoring for the binaural mixing, and you put something on the send, and it's something like a reverb or a delay, and you go to adjust, and you're just not hearing it, just watch for that when you're using the Dolby Atmos. All right, so here we are on the send here on this channel here, and if I solo the track, let's see, let's unsolo that. Let me actually do that. There we go. I'm going to solo the drums. You can see here, just so you know, this is something called Save Solo. So you can see that my effects channel has a different color solo button. So when this is in Save Solo, any track that you solo that is linked to that effects channel is going to solo along with it. So if I solo the drums, this effects channel is going to solo along with it. If I solo something like the bass, you can see that anything that I link to that channel is going to solo. Now, since it's on a send, it's important to know that everything that you solo, it's going to keep soloing the effects channel. So you can actually go ahead and put the send on each, put the link to the reverb on each of these channels, and the proper effects channel will solo. So, not to confuse anybody any further, so let's go ahead and solo the drums. And now the mix knob is inoperable. It is actually locked. I can unlock it if I want, but you can see it's all the way up. But you want to keep that locked. And all of the adjustment for the amount of reverb that's going to go on your drum track will be adjustable here. There you go. Just like that. So this is all set now to be here. So there is one reverb. So what I'm going to do, just going to make some adjustments. Usually you don't want that big a reverb on a drum kit, but I'm just going to keep it kind of light. Okay, so you might be asking, so if I insert that reverb on the other channels, it's going to open up more effects channels. No. This is the beauty of the sends. So using the send and the effects channel, this is going to give you the ability to insert this one instance of this reverb on whatever tracks you want to use it on. So there's a couple of ways to now use this mix verb on other tracks. So the first way is to click the little plus sign and then go ahead and choose the mix verb. And now it is linked to this instance of the reverb. There we go. And I can do it this way here. And I'm going to take the acoustic guitar. So now I have actually inserted, now, let's see, that's the wrong word to use. I've actually now placed this reverb, this single instance of this reverb on 3 different tracks. The huge benefit to doing it this way is the CPU usage. So you could take one of the bigger reverbs. Let's see, let's go down this list here. Open Air, which is at times, depending on the preset, a huge CPU hog. So you could actually have one instance of Open Air, get the preset that you want, and put it on all of the different tracks at different levels. Now, some of you might say, well, what if I want a gate on a snare that isn't, let's say I have individual drum tracks and I want a particular gate on a snare. So that's fine. You can use the inserts for that. You don't have to use the sends. You can if you want to. Maybe you want to use that gate on other tracks, but you can put that on the inserts and still use the sends. But the cool part about this is, the second advantage, not only the CPU usage, but you keep your mix clean. you don't have a bunch of reverbs laying on top of each other with different attack times and different release times and everything, and stacking up, making your mix muddy. So a good rule of thumb, in my opinion, now this is all depends on what kind of mix engineer you want to be. If you want to just strictly do this for CPU, perfect. So the advantage, I think, of using the sends over the inserts in a case like this is not only the fact that you're saving CPU, but it's also the fact that you're keeping your mix cleaner. Usually when I set up a mix, I have another video on this, I believe, where I set up a mixing template. And I choose one reverb, I choose one delay, I choose one chorus, and that's it. And those are the 3 tracks that I actually set up as effects channels. And I route those 3 different effects to the different tracks in my song via the sends. Anything special I want on a specific track, I put on the inserts. But this keeps the mix clean. I think that you should always begin with a single reverb or a single delay or a single chorus for your effects channels when you start a mix, because that way you keep things in the same environment, per se. So the reverbs especially, if I don't mean to over-explain, but the reverbs especially will put your song in a particular environment. So if you're sharing the same reverb, the same type, the same length, and the decay amongst different tracks, you can adjust how much of the reverb that track will actually, you'll hear with that track. So what that does is it keeps it in the same environment using that. So now I can go ahead and I can put different reverbs or gates or whatever I want on the other channels, but this is going to keep things a lot cleaner using the sends and effects channels. So I hope that makes sense. When you're starting a mix, choose one reverb, one delay, and one chorus. Start them with their own effects channels, and you can actually go ahead and do it this way. Let me find my chorus. I'm just going to drop this here. Up. There we go. I'm working on a Mac that only has 8 gig of RAM. So there we go. So now I've got a chorus, and you can see that the label is here. And I want a delay. Let's see, de-esser. Let's see. Oh, the beat delay is what I want here. So I'm going to take the beat delay and I'm going to move that onto its own. There we go. So now, if I go to any of the sends here, you can see that those are now in my list. Just like that, the mix verb, the chorus, and the beat delay. So I can actually choose any one of these. I can put it on multiple sends, and I can adjust the different levels of those sends to go to that single delay. It keeps my mix cleaner. And then anything special that I want can go on the inserts. All right, I didn't mean to over-explain, but a lot of people, especially those that are just getting started, they don't know, okay, where do I start with my effects? I think this is a good place to start. It makes a really good basic mixing template. Okay, there we go. I kind of feel like I over-explained things a little bit, but hopefully not. So I hope that this makes sense to everybody. And just understand, especially if you have a machine that has, maybe like mine, a low amount of memory, or you've got an older machine with not a great CPU, the sends can actually help keep your machine going. And I said actually 4 times in that sentence. All right, folks, hopefully this was helpful, and I'll see you all in the next video.